So I think I'm on live. Right. Yes, I'm live right now. So that I can see people in, then I can make sure that I'm live right now. Right? Yes. Good morning. Yes, I see people say good morning to me. Hi, good morning. Hello. See, I have see some comments here. People will see that have done one of that before. Okay. Good morning. Good morning. Hi, one. So you guys can hear me, right? Because just only me here, and then I before we go started, I want to make sure that everything here. Morning. Yes, I think people say morning to me. Hi. Yes. Hi, Corey. Yes. So somebody say yes to me that can hear me, and the audience, everything is good. Loud and clear. Okay, thank you so much. So we can start our live today. So if you watch out, you see our poster for the live, you can see that I invite a guy to join with us. That is John, and I think some people watch his the video before for the Foldable Ender 3. Yes, I think people say good morning to me. As for me, it's evening time and Friday. Yes, I want a day off. And also just only me here today, so I can feel of the mass. Okay, can hear me and clear. Yes, I think in our internet is good today, right? I think for last week, I don't know why, something wrong with the internet, but today it's good. Yes, and people are very urgent to our friend. So let me make joy with him. Hi, John.
Hi.
Yes.
Yes.
So,
Good morning.
yeah, it's all. I think it's also good morning for most of the people.
Yeah, for you it will be different, I think.
Yes. Okay. So I think I can change. How can I make you bigger? How can I do that? See that I always I always can do that great. How can I make it uh yes, how can I make it your size bigger with the bigger screen that can show people I'm sorry to change a lot. I'm so sorry guys. Because for this one I'm not familiar with that. So I have to put that you here and then no. So anyone can tell me. I think I need help. Who can help me? So who can help me? Because before we start, I also can make it great, but I don't know why. Okay, I think
Something like this.
yes, I will take a rest and think about it. How can I make it to the bigger screen, and then I can change myself. Okay, yes. So we are so happy today to invite our friend to come to join our live, and all you guys can see that he make a very great surprise for us. It's a foldable Ender 3 Pro. Yes, I think a lot of people know you. Maybe you can introduce yourself or say something.
Yes. Well, I'm John from Proper Printing, and yeah, I wanted to talk about the Foldable Ender 3 and some of the projects that I'm working on currently. And I want to start with where my channel started with the quick tool change.
Uh-huh.
And I think that's interesting to show because my channel is a little more than 1 year old, I think, 1 year and 2 or 3 months. So that's been a cool journey, and I think it's nice to show some of the things that I've done in that period. And yeah, at the end of last year, I made this foldable in a 3, and I'm going to tell you why I've done it and why I've made it foldable, what the reasoning is behind that, and how I got there. So that's the idea I'm having.
But actually, beside this one, I think you always have a lot of idea. It's a weird idea.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. I was trying to just come up with new ideas. Most of the ideas aren't well, don't seem the best ones at first, but it's just like trying. And often when you have an idea and you're trying it, then it turns out that you can make new ideas from that or improve those ideas. So at the end, you can have a cool result, which is working. And yeah, my goal is to inspire people to, yeah, just with pitching new ideas to come up with new solutions. And some of the ideas I'm building upon and can result in a foldable printer like this. So, and often things aren't, yes, some of the ideas are just because of an earlier idea. So yeah, that's what I'm trying to do. So, shall I start with that quick tool change?
Yes.
Got the line
Yes.
here somewhere.
Yes. Before you did this portable, I see that you also did a lot of change on your Ender 3.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Yeah, it started with the CR10. I've bought that printer, yeah, 1.5 year ago, and it was a good printer, of course, but I wanted to do more with that.
Mm-hmm,
And
mm-hmm.
yeah, I was at shopping. I was in a shopping spree, and I saw that a laser cutter, that's a small tiny laser cutter. I thought that's cool to add to the printer, so I can engrave stuff. I didn't know what to do with that, but it wasn't that expensive and a neat thing to try.
Uh-huh.
That's this one over here. It's just a 500 milliwatt laser, and you cannot burn through wood, but you can engrave wood or and yeah, dark paper and those kind of stuff. But it's a fun thing to begin with. But with this, the problem with this, when it's out of the package, you have 4 of these or 2 neodymium magnets. I think it was 2. And the idea is that you can just clamp it to the standard shroud with those magnets, and then it will sort of stay in place. But I wasn't all too convinced. So yeah, I wanted to make a clamping system so this laser is in a position and it's fixed. And the funny thing is that that clamping system is based on a camera tripod where that camera is on right now, so I cannot show it. But I've made this quick tool change, and it's already pretty long on Thingiverse. It's an open platform, and it's possible to clamp different tools on that. So, for example, this laser, and it's I've made some blank tool holders, so you can download only this block and make your own tools. And my idea was to yeah, to look on Thingiverse and create like a platform on which everyone can create their own tools, because it's not only a laser cutter, but you can also add another hot end like the E3D, and those, so you can swap out between hot ends. So I use, for example, the stock hot end for printing PLA, but the
Mm-hmm.
E3D I can use to print polycarbonate and more difficult materials. So that was the idea. So it can quickly swap within between tools. So I have some other tools here. This grinder. So there's where everything started with. I've used this grinder to make PCBs with the copper and remove the copper with this thing, and it went pretty well. So it's you have basically a tabletop machine which can with which you can do more than just 3D printing, and even a pen plotter. This thing. So that's here at the back I've made with a pen plotter. So that yeah, that was a cool. That's where everything started with this quick tool change. So, and if anyone has a question, then just hit it in the comments. Maybe I can see someone so I can answer them.
Yes. Actually, but my question is, how can I change that? Because I want to sew your
I
printer
don't have
back.
an answer for that one.
I am not here.
Just
Yes,
see.
yes, I did that. I'm so sorry. I'm so sorry, guys. Yes, because I just want to show a big picture for your printer because
Mhm.
for your printer, I also found something look like our in the 3v2, like the screen and the yellow and the red one.
Yeah, this yeah, this is the emergency stop. Because well, some of my viewers know that yeah, while experimenting, not everything will go as well as planned. So, for example, I've blew up two boards in one video because I I wanted to reverse the extruder motor for this flexi drive, and I didn't want to change the firmware, so I thought, well, I'll just connect the stepper motor driver, the stepper motor differently.
Yes.
Um, yeah, and then the chances are that you blew up your driver board. So I've made a video after that which explained sort of how you can do that without blowing up that stepper driver. But it yeah, it's sometimes it's handy to use this, and I've actually used it once when printing food because I was with some wrong settings and it was purging out a lot of food, so I had to dive to that button. But indeed, it has a large touchscreen over here, and it runs at the with a Lati Panda. And do you know that a Lati Panda is a small computer with a i i5 or well, with an Intel processor. I don't know by heart which one. And this is just a touchscreen, so it's like a tablet, and it has an Arduino processor on board, and you can connect and disconnect all kind of hardware. For example, a relay or uh, an analog in LEDs, all kind of stuff. So it works pretty well. You have a computer and an Arduino and a board on top, and you can connect all kinds of hardware. And the idea is that was that I've designed my own software which can control the G codes for the printer and the Arduino. So I have one piece of software which can enable and disable the printer. And my idea was also to measure current and that kind of stuff.
Uh-huh.
So and yeah, that's where it started with. I'm still working on that software, by the way, behind the scenes. And it works pretty well, the screen here. And the standard position of the screen over here wasn't it wasn't working with the foldable mechanism, so I had to change it to here. And yeah, I can start why I started without of why I started with this foldable mechanism in the first place. I'll clean this up because it's a funny story.
Yeah. So you say that you have that kinds of idea because you want to print food or take it to the kitchen, right? Have you tried that to print the food after you finish your project?
Yeah, well, oh, once.
Okay.
Just footprint. Yeah, but I have to make a redesign of this one. This is the food dispenser. So it's like the quick tool change that just have shown. I can remove this one as well, and
Uh-huh.
the food dispenser on here, and therefore I've made this flexible shaft, and this flexible shaft can be disconnected as well. And that was a funny mod to do. So it's the idea was to have the flexi drive to be disconnected easily and connected to other devices or to other tools like that food dispenser. So this can be connected on here, and this will power that food dispenser. But the
Ah,
problem was that the food dispenser it needed too much force, so this shaft started twisting, and I have to make a new gear ratio, so it doesn't not that much force goes on this shaft, and this goes fast enough so that is going to work. The only thing that this thing can purge is sans mayo, so it's mayonnaise, and that's yeah, that's thin enough for purging, but you cannot build anything with it. But
okay.
the whole idea started with almost a year ago, and um, we went to a presentation of a chef who is pretty famous in the Netherlands. He's called Jan Smink. He lives in the northern part of the Netherlands, and he has a restaurant in which he shows food printing, and he started food printing, and he combines that with his regular dishes. And
Uh-huh.
his goal is to use food printing to yeah to make the food richer. So he isn't going to print out a steak, but he is going to print out, for example, a logo or a nice thing out of chocolate and
Yes,
makes it
yes.
look better. So he uses 3D printing to enrich the whole dish, and I thought that was pretty cool. And the he uses a similar dispenser as I've used in this one, and I thought that it's cool if that is possible. And the idea was to make a printer which is capable of printing food, but I also wanted to show it to people. So it would be cool if this is yeah, if I can bring it with me. So I thought how to do that in the best way that it can fit in a trolley, and then I was thinking of maybe it can be folded. So
Yes.
that's the thing that it all started with. I wanted to make it foldable, put it in a suitcase, and go with a couple of friends to a restaurant and start printing food over there. Because I still want to do that. It's still on the list, but because of what's happening in the world right now, that this isn't possible. But it's still the thing that we would like to do. But the
Mm,
nice thing about an idea of this is that um, you come up with new ideas because this is falling like this. But the first problem is that the screen was here with the standard Ender 3, so it
yes.
has to be placed somewhere else, and the power supply is placed over here, and that's also not working together with this folding mechanism. And this clamp over here is used to clamp it in the vertical direction and in the horizontal direction as well. So, and if I place it in the homing position, then it can fold.
Yes. Yes.
But because of this problem of that power supply, I had to find a new position for the power supply. So I've placed it here, and it turns out to be a nice. It fits well pretty snugly at the bottom of this printer. So that and if I didn't want to fold this printer, then I didn't come up with the idea of placing the power supply over there. So that's what I'm trying to do. Just try things and see what is needed to get it done. And then sometimes you come up with new ideas. So now it's a lot smaller footprint, and it should fit in a standard Pelican case, but that's something I still have to figure out.
And actually, before your foldable printer, I also see one guy also make the edit too in the suitcase too. I think he also have the same idea with you.
I haven't seen that one.
Oh, okay.
Often my ideas aren't. I'm yeah. Sometimes ideas are. You think that you have come up with them, but someone else was first, or you come up with them separate from each other, so it's always difficult to know if you're the one who came up with it.
Yeah, just sometimes because you want to do something and then the idea just comes up. For some
Yeah,
people, some purpose. Yes,
yeah. So
yes.
it sometimes has advantages because if you know that something already exists, then you will start thinking within those boundaries. And if you are going with a blank sheet, then you could sometimes come up with a different approach than already out there. So it has some advantages. So I'm never going to say that an idea is mine because I often cannot prove that it is. And but that's not the most important thing, I think.
Yes.
And yeah, another thing that I've liked about this printer is this custom connector. So I can connect and disconnect the whole bed. And this is a printed connector.
Uh-huh.
The idea of the printed connector started basically back to that quick tool change in which I added this standard D sub connector. So I can connect and disconnect this tool. Otherwise, yeah, I have to with that laser, for example, you have to remove this and lay it somewhere while it's connected, and you can add the laser. But with this D sub connector, I can disconnect this whole tool and swap it out with, for example, this laser module. But the problem was that this bowden tube at the center sometimes sprung loose. So I came up with the idea of making a custom connector in which you can just add a Bowden coupler so it stays in place. And that idea eventually ended up being this idea of the disconnecting the whole bed with a connector in which a cable chain is integrated. And I still think that printing connectors it can be pretty interesting if you combine it with other features which aren't standard in connectors, like the Bowden tube or a drag chain like this, a cable chain. So that's and yeah, you can incorporate a connector in 3D printed housings, and it enables new possibilities that didn't thought of before. So that's
Yeah. So
like,
I see one question say that how do you get the money for your project? Yeah.
yeah, good question. um, I don't have a girlfriend. That helps a lot.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay.
Um, I have a full-time job besides YouTube. I'm working as an engineer within the electronics branch, and I'm a test engineer. And what we do, we make automated tests for printing PCBs. So we have for industrial and medical appliances where we work. We actually put the components on the PCBs and at the end of the line we are going to test it to see if everything works, and that's fully automated. So the PCB itself is placed on a fixture, and the fixture is connected to a computer or to different hardware which can measure or control and simulate things. And um, and the computer has a user interface which shows the operator what he has to do, or press start, scan the barcode, check if a LED is working, or set a potential meter. And at the end of the whole sequence, it says if the print has passed or failed, and all measurement data is stored. And we are a team of two, and we are making we're making the fixtures, the software, and I'm currently doing a lot with LabVIEW because LabVIEW is easy to make this kind of software with. So that's the full-time job I'm having besides this. So yeah, that's what it's financing basically.
Yeah.
It's funny.
So that's the reason that you can also make a lot. I mean that you can understand the 3D printer a lot, and you also can do the graph, and you can use the slicer. So because of
Yeah,
your job, yeah, it's a relative.
Yeah,
Ah,
it's controlling a printer is looks a lot like what I'm doing at work, because if you control your if you connect your printer through USB at the computer, you have a serial port, and you can just use a terminal to send the G commands directly. And
uh-huh.
that's often what I do when I'm controlling instruments. For example, a power supply, a controllable power supply.
Mm-hmm.
You can control, or you can connect a computer to a power supply and say, go to 24 volts and go on or off, or measure the current. Those kind of commands are basically the similar commands that I use with printers. So I can make similar left view drivers, which can control a printer and do whatever I want with, well, within reason, of course, with that printer. So it looks a lot what I'm doing at work, and it's a nice combination of software, electronics, and mechanics. So that's yeah, what I like about 3D printing. That this is those three facets of technique within one machine.
Okay. So for your printer, this one is it? Uh, I mean, in my opinion, it looked like a display. So I want to know that. Did you print that? Is that? Have you ever tried to compare that to print out like the normal one? Because I mean, for the it can foldable. Is that stable?
Um, it's of course the only thing it can do is decrease the print quality,
Yes.
because the idea wasn't to increase it.
Yeah.
Therefore, I've made in older videos, I've made the dual Z axis and the other mods which were targeted towards making it as accurate as possible. And that printer is right now my production printer, and that's printing, for example, these polycarbonate parts over here. So it's that's my actual machine, and this is more of a testing platform, running my own software and then yeah, do some fun things with it. But for printing food, your stomach isn't going to see if it's 1/10 of a millimeter larger or smaller. So for printing food, that accuracy wasn't that necessary.
Oh,
So
okay. But at the end, you eat that food.
yeah,
Okay. Yeah, I got that. I got that.
yeah. But the thing it does, well, it tends to go vertical, so you can feel it that even if it's at this angle, you can feel that this wants to go into this direction. So it's pretty stable, but I reckon if you go at the top and hit those resonance frequencies, then it's not as good as the standard printer. But that wasn't the goal. And
Yeah.
if it is, then you can make some kind of clamping system here at the bottom,
Yeah.
and some other thing, so some well brace here diagonally, and you have your strength back. So yeah, you can always find a way to make it work in the end. So that's not something that I'm too worried about. But I often get questions to, yeah, why don't you make comparison prints? And that's because I don't think it's often needed, or I think, yeah, okay, it's nice like this, and I forget to print with it. So it's more about the idea, and then I forget the actual thing that what this is supposed to do, and that's printing. So often at the end of the video, then I'm happy, it works, but I often forget to actually print with it. But yeah, I
Yeah.
should do that more often.
Yes. Yeah. 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 I think I forgot the purpose. You have that idea is for food. Yes. Yes.
Yeah,
Uh huh.
and
Nice.
I'm not done with this printer yet.
Uh huh. Nice. And I also see that you have the other one, the
Yeah,
S5. So
yes,
that's
fine. Yes,
yes, that's the project that you're doing right now, right?
yeah. It's so large that it doesn't fit within this frame.
Yeah, but I think some people have watched your video, see that you have done some something
Yeah,
of
which I said it was a Core XY. That is going to haunt me for life, I think.
ah,
This, yeah, I
yes.
can. So, yeah, it's almost everything is outside of the frame, but it doesn't have a print bed right now because I'm currently working on that print bed. I have it
Uh,
somewhere here. Yeah, I can show it. I am upgrading the print bed with this silicon heater. Is within here, so this thing can heat up pretty fast right now. And I'm
mhm.
making a video in which I show how to control this silicon heater. But
Ah,
yeah, I want to print large things, of course. Otherwise, haven't bought this printer. But I want to make large things out of more difficult materials. The
uh,
goal with this printer is to print rims for a car. 2 months at the start of this year, we've bought an old Mercedes, and yeah, the idea is to print out a rim for that car to see if it's even possible to drive on 3D printed rims, and to see what is needed to get us to get there. And therefore, I've bought this printer, and I'm working my way towards that goal to upgrade this printer to make it able to print those rims. And
uh-huh.
in order to print, well, I reckon that I need better materials than just PLA or PETG. So I need an enclosure. And because this thing is so large, with this print bed going back and forth like more than a meter distance, I wanted to reduce its footprint. So I thought I'd made a Core XY machine, but it's a moving portal printer in which this whole gantry is moving back and forth. And here at the center is the bed which stays stationary. And
Mm-hmm.
yeah, it still has to show if this approach is working or not. It's pretty promising because this is stiffer than I thought it was. And
Mm-hmm.
but yeah, it's going to wobble. I've made a video in which I showed how much this wobbles. But for printing the rims, I reckon that this would work. But I'm going to further improve it.
Okay.
Uh,
You see that someone
I
asked
saw
that?
that question. Yes,
Yes.
I've got a
Are you
Josie
the
with.
guy?
Yep,
Yes.
that's me.
Yes, it is.
That was the printer I was referring to, which was so stable. So it's almost the opposite of this one. That printer is I've made it to make it as stable as possible.
Yes.
So
And
that's
I say Vin say you something, but I can't understand. What's that?
lucky you to see. Nice to see you here.
Ah, I think same language with you, right?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I
That's
remember we also the nerf name. Yeah,
dankjewel, Arvin.
yes. See, a lot of people just in and say hi, and I think I can go back and have some questions to see the updates. Yeah, see that people see want to see the update for more update for the food.
Yeah, yeah.
How?
That's postponed. I'm first going to work on this printer for printing those rims. And when that's finished, I have some neat ideas for this. There is a reason why I can disconnect this heated bed, of course, because I have some fun ideas with this one. And yeah, that's still what I'm working on. What I, for example, can do is well, I'm going to give a little teaser then. I can place this into this direction, and some of you can already guess what this will enable. So those are things that I'm still working on for this machine. And if you
Yes.
don't know, then I would suggest waiting for a little while. And those are some fun ideas still. So this will be my tinkering machine platform, and
Mm-hmm.
the food printing. Yeah, it's still something that I really wanted to work on.
Yes.
So but first this one because yeah, because of the pandemic, I cannot bring this thing on the road, and
Yes.
that driving in a car isn't that kind of problem. So and yeah, that's what this machine. Well, I just started with it, and I'm currently filming the next upgrade. What I showed with the print bed. that silicon heater, and I want to heat up the whole enclosure. Well, it's going to be a pretty large enclosure still, but I've this 1 kilowatt heater. And this it's a crazy. If you're going to heat this thing up, then at
Uh-huh.
first you think, well, nothing is happening, but once it heats up, then it's pretty fast at 100 degrees, and it can go up to 200. And
It's a heater.
sorry,
It's a heater, or what's that?
yeah, yeah, I can put 230 volts on here, and then this will heat up. It's like this. I reckon that this thing can heat up this whole room here, and I'm
Uh-huh.
going to place this right here. So with some fans at the bottom, so it will heat up the whole chamber. So that's what I'm currently working on. I'm showing with a duet board how I can control this heater and that 1,000 watt heated bed with that silicon plate. And I've
Mm-hmm.
learned already a lot from that because I thought it was pretty easy. It's not too difficult, but it's yeah, there were some things that were some learning experiences for me. So that's what I'm working on right now. They're heating that enclosure, and I've already designed the enclosure. And right now I'm waiting for the parts for that enclosure. I first wanted to make a simple enclosure just for keeping the warmth inside, but I started designing in Fusion, and I I caught up a bit and lost myself, and I've made the it's a bit of overkill. It's almost ridiculous, but I've made an enclosure. I thought, well, while I'm working on it, I might as well make the coolest enclosure I'm able to make. So that's what I've done. So that's I'm very excited to see the parts for that enclosure. So it's going to be large, big, and insane. But yeah, the project itself is pretty insane. So and yeah, I often got some remarks from people who said, "Well, printing rims it's not going to work,"
Uh-huh.
um, and I think that there are some steps which has to be overcome. For example, the first problem would be getting the tire around it and getting it up on pressure.
Mm-hmm.
But I first want to design a rim and try that. And when it isn't possible to put a tire around that, then I have to come up with a solution how to get the tire on there. And I have a plan B and a plan C for that. And if the tire is on there and we're going to put it on the car, then the question is if it's possible to even be on that car. And if it is, then it would be pretty interesting to hit the brakes at full speed, to hit the brakes and to steer. That's going to be well pretty terrifying. But I reckon that there at these stages the rim will break, and then I'm going to figure out what to do to overcome that. So maybe it's a redesign or use other materials.
Mm-hmm.
Now, for example, heat can be a problem when the brakes heat up, but maybe we have to find different materials for just on that axis. So there are possibilities, and we're just working our way towards that goal and see what's happening. And the idea is to learn along the way to see what how far we can go. But I'm not going on the public road, so don't worry. I don't want to need to hit the brakes and then my whole rim breaks apart, and then I'm going to crash somewhere. So everything will be or in my backyard or on the track if it's working. So don't worry.
Is it look like people from Germany or something say
Bermuda
that?
Island.
Yeah, I don't know what's that, but it looked like your
It's
friend.
not Germany.
No? Oh, okay.
Isn't that close to the Bermuda Triangle? No, I'm
Uh-huh.
not that good at.
You print. Okay. Yes.
I think you should. You could even print a tire out of TPU. Yeah, that's pretty interesting to make a whole tire out of TPU itself.
Uh-huh.
But the problem is that I need even a bigger printer. This printer will be capable of printing 19-inch rims. It's 19 inches, around 47 centimeters by heart. So if I'm going to print a tire out of TPU, then I have to make a smaller rim or even a bigger printer. But the idea is it's pretty fun. But I reckon if I'm going to do that, then it will blow up like a balloon because you don't have the steel wiring inside. But it's or I have to print it without air, like the Michelin has that airless tire. Yeah, that's pretty funny. He bought together with me the car. Ah,
Yeah, maybe we can go for the comments here, see that they might have some detail, interesting thing here.
yeah, yeah. And
Yes.
again, if anyone has questions, then rise them up. I can answer them. Maybe I can. Please don't say this is not a Core XY machine. I'm aware of that.
For one time? Oh.
Yeah, printing an airless tire would be great.
Mm-hmm.
But the design of the rim itself is going to be pretty daunting as well. And I have some fun ideas how to design a rim like that. And I
Uh-huh.
first want to do it at 15 inch. That's the standard size. And I'm going to a local garage, and he checked the car. It was the yearly control, and there were some things like the electronics wasn't perfect, and he said, "Well, I just have made it quick and dirty, so it was good." And he asked if he should have done it a bit better, and I said, "Well." I showed him what I was going to do with that car, and then he understood that the chances are that that car isn't going to survive. But I've already uh, I'm yeah already discussed with him that I'm going. It's possible to put the tire around it at his machine. So hopefully hopefully no one gets killed then. What model? It's a great question. I'm not looking into
What
Mercedes.
model? What model? It looked like so cool, so people don't
As I
know.
watch the video, then you can see which model I'm talking about.
Yes.
I'm not into Mercedes. I've bought that. Well, the funny thing is that the car I bought it from was from a friend of mine, and he has a small car company, and I asked him if he has an old car which I can use for this project. I first wanted to buy a small car like a Daihatsu or Matisse or something like that, something cheap. And he said, "I've got a perfect car for you," and he showed a picture of that Mercedes. And yeah, I started laughing because it's not a small car, but it's an iconic car. So I think in the end, maybe that's it's even better than a small car because it's a lot more fun. And I really hope I do not destroy it because I kind of starting to like that car because it drives fantastically. uh, I never had something with Mercedes, but since that car, I was surprised. That's so fair. That's a good question.
So
I'm
what
still
after?
um, I'm
Yes.
still discussing with National Instruments because LabVIEW is not free and it's not cheap. But LabVIEW has a community edition since this year, and
Uh-huh.
I'm discussing with them if I'm allowed to use that community edition within my channel. The community edition says that it can't be used for commercial purposes. And well, I do make some money out of YouTube, so it's commercial. And but I want to open source that software. So I'm still discussing with National Instruments if I'm able to use their community edition to open source my software. So that's still something that I want to do in the future. I really hope it's possible. I cannot shouldn't know a reason why, because more people will get familiar with LabVIEW that way. So I reckon it should be possible, but I first want to be sure if I'm allowed to do that. Hmm. That's a good question. Someone asks if Creality will work to make the folding features a standard purchasable item from Creality directly.
Ah, yeah.
Yeah, it looks so pretty. What model printer do we have on the table?
Uh-huh.
This is the Creality CR10S5. It's the large one, and this was a Ender 3 Pro. Yeah, I by the way I got some questions about people if my mods were also compatible with the first Ender 3 version. Well, the first the standard, so not the Pro. And as far as I know, the only difference between the Pro version and this Pro in the standard version is this center profile. This profile is 40 by 40 millimeter, and the standard Ender 3 is 40 by 20, so it's 20 millimeters narrower. So, as far as I'm concerned, that's the only difference. And I actually designed everything around the standard Ender 3 because there was one person, I don't know his name anymore, but he has posted a complete assembly on GrabCAD, and I've downloaded that. But that's the assembly of the standard Ender 3. So all my designs are based on that standard Ender 3, and the only thing that I've done is I added an offset from this center beam. So most of the mods can be added directly to a standard Ender 3, but for example, this screen is connected to this beam. You have to add a 10 millimeter spacer, and then you can connect everything like I've done with Ender 3 Pro. So that was a question that I was often. How's the tablet connected to the printer? Well, this one isn't. I have connected it through the web interface, but this is actually not a tablet. I'll turn it again. This is a loose screen, and at the bottom is easier to fold it. Here at the bottom is a computer. You can see here the USB connections and HDMI, and it's a small computer. It's a Leti Panda, or Leti Panda. Yeah. So this is it's like the size of a Raspberry Pi, but this thing can run Windows. And I was hoping that it would run Linux, but it doesn't. So I'm stuck with well, it doesn't do that out of the box. So I'm just using Windows. And it's connected through a USB. So here at the screen, you can just see the communication port, and I can communicate through that port.
Need to sell something like this for people with limited space and for school. Yeah, I mean, okay, I got that.
Yeah, it's ideal to put it on the somewhere. It's a lot lower right now.
Yes.
Yeah, I was thinking of selling parts but it turns out to be pretty difficult to do that. For example, this I had the idea to sell this quick tool change as a kit because it's a pretty daunting and tricky upgrade to do because you have to cut all your wires. And I can
Mhm.
imagine if you are not that familiar with 3D printing and you just have one printer, then it's a pretty hurdle to just cut all those wires. And if you're planning to do that, make absolutely sure that you've printed everything because it it will be difficult to print stuff if you have cut those wires, of course. So, and when I started with this, I had just one printer. I had the Anet A8, but I don't consider that thing as a printer. And I've made ex- 10 times sure if I've printed everything and everything fitted, and then I added it to here. But I wanted to sell this as a kit, but it's pretty difficult to launch it when doing that on your own. But it's still something that I'm thinking of to do in the future. But I've got these questions often. Going to sell it as a kit, but I have to do shipping and all those liability issues that is pretty difficult to do. So and it's similar with this foldable system. It's difficult for me to sell those stuff. Because if you destroy your own printer, then yeah, I will be the one who is who's going to be in trouble. Is that a joke? Well, I'm when there was one the NAT8 was my first printer, and I I never forget that that thing was printing at one time, and I was checking on it, and it smelled like a burnt chicken, and it was because of that print bed. The connector connected to the print bed was completely black, and the way it was connected was yeah, it was kind of a fire hazard, and I have heard similar stories from others that yeah, and it was a fire hazard. So and since then I used it for parts, and I even have removed some parts from it, which just broke while I was removing it. I needed a micro switch. I picked off that micro switch, and it just broke in half. So now it's for me, it's yeah, it's just funny to talk about the NL printer. Oh man, yeah, yeah. There is a there should be a Pelican box in which this will fit pretty well, and that's what I want to do. And I'm going to pick up this project again. So we want to do a vlog style video, which you're going to go to a restaurant and print food there. So in those, yeah, we have a nice location on which we want to go, and we can make some cool B-roll and a story out of that. And that's including that suitcase with my logo on it, as large as possible, of course. I can see that I'm not the only one who isn't that fond of the Inet printers. Oh, nice, I'm not on my own. One is saying he has upgraded it for a CR10S5. Well, that's a pretty big upgrade from a printer like that to an S5. Oh, nice. So, see there are more questions.
I think. Let me see. Okay.
Plans to seek assistance to provide you mods as a kit, please. Yes, I still have that as a plan, not as a concrete plan, but I really want to provide those, especially the quick tool change as a mod. Um, for every printer, I'm going to add that quick tool change. Some upgrades I've done, I'm not going to add on the printer. It was just fun to look if it works. And the quick tool change on its own is the upgrade that I'm going to put on any machine. Maybe not on this one. Maybe in the future. This one I have something else in mind. It's going to be a different hot end, and this one will be specific for printing those rims at first. But on my other printers, I often swap between hot ends, and that's the thing I do most. So I swap between the E3D hot end and the stock hot end, depending on which material I'm going to print with. So that's something I definitely want to do. But I was trying to find a solution for that Bowden tube, which is springing loose sometimes, because that's something that can't happen when it's a final product. So I've made that custom connector. I have it here, by the way. So this is the quick tool change with the custom connector integrated to it. So I can make my own configuration, and at the other side is the connector. Oh, it's all closed, but in that connector you have the Bowden coupler, so it's unable to spring loose. So that's it's working better, but the downside of this approach is that this is pretty difficult to make as a final product, because this is a daunting model. So I have to, yeah, it's not as easy as just releasing the product. Both have its ups and downs. So that's still something that I'm thinking on to do it correctly. So for now, it's everything can be downloaded from my website, and you can try it yourself. Selling it as a kit is pretty difficult. And what I'm thinking about is to, as a starter, to not sell this as a whole kit, but to sell all the non-printable things like the inserts. I use the M3 inserts a lot, and well, all the M3, M4, and M6, because adding inserts to a 3D printed part works awesome. And I often get questions from people: which inserts did you use? Where and also these connections, for example, where did you get those connections? And because I have a small company, I'm able to buy those inserts from distributors. So I get a bag of 500 of these inserts, and I'm not too afraid that I'm going to use all of them someday. But I can imagine that if you want to print something like this, then 500 inserts might be a bit too much. So I think it's interesting to sell this as a kit, just the parts, and you can print the printable part yourself and sell and buy the inserts and these lock nuts yourself, so you know that you have everything. So that's what I'm thinking of to start with.
It's look like a lot of things we can looking forward by your side. It's a lot of project that
Yeah,
yeah, yeah, already here.
I have a list. I have a list, a private list on which all my ideas are
Wow.
placed. And that list was this long when I started my channel, and it's now, yeah, you need a pretty high resolution screen to show most of it. So that list is getting longer and longer because I get new ideas from old ideas, and often I get ideas from comments or direct mails from people who say you have to try this, and I'm just going to add it to that list and see if I get to it someday. So that's that at the end of last year, when I was working on this foldable machine, um, the list was already long enough. So this year was already filled up with ideas. So I'm not going to. It sounds very familiar. It's a luxury position to be in. I am. I'm not going to have a writer's block anytime soon, so that's a nice feeling. But on the other hand, there is I already know that there are more ideas than I can ever do before myself.
Yes. I think all of us just waiting for your everything just come out for your idea. Uh-huh.
Yeah, yeah.
Yes.
So yeah, some ideas are just plain stupid, but some are yeah, there are some of them that I'm really looking forward to. And printing the rims is one of the ideas that I'm looking forward to. And that idea wasn't yeah, it was pretty sporadic. I wanted to go to bed and start sleeping, and when I closed my eyes, that idea popped in my mind. Yeah, let's print rims for a car. And I can tell you, it's pretty difficult to fall asleep after an idea like that. So that was a pretty rough night.
And then you have to buy it down.
Yeah,
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 okay.
and you see all the images in your head for how would it be to have a rim of this size 3D printed, and how would it be to drive a car with that. So yeah, I often have the ideas when I want to sleep. So therefore, sometimes don't sleep as much as I would want.
I got
Yeah,
that.
yeah, that's the life of an engineer, I think.
Yes. So I think it could be 1 hours for our life. That yes, people are
Really?
still very curious for your project, and I think everyone just looking forward to it. 2 years plan is much too long. Put another 3D printer solution. Okay.
Uh,
Yes.
my, yeah, I can always print them yourself, of course. That's always a possibility. And I've
Yes.
seen people printing them. One the one yeah one person who said he wasn't very experienced with 3D printing, and he printed everything. He printed yeah this whole cable chain and this folding mechanism out of PLA, and for him it worked. So yeah, with a bit of dedication and luck and some yeah,
Yeah.
so then most of the parts
Yes, you
are
can have more fun. So
yeah.
not just print a model, right? And then you can do some more change and like you based on your job, and then you have a lot of more modified. It could
Mhm.
be more fun. Yes.
Yeah, and my theory is that if I'm able to print the parts out of polycarbonate, then most people are capable of printing it out of PLA. So yeah, according to that theory, most parts can be printed. Folding printer would be cool.
I think after people see your printer, they are looking forward to our C30. It's also a foldable printer.
Okay,
Yes.
I haven't seen it.
Yes. Okay, so maybe that's it for today. And thank you, John. Welcome to share your printer to us.
Yeah, thanks a lot for this opportunity to do my story here at this
Yeah.
for inviting me at this Creality live show. It's first time for me going live, so it was yeah, I was very excited, but it's nice to do. And
Yes. Yeah. And for the people want to get more information for John's video and what he's going to do or what he will be finished, so you guys can go to his YouTube channel. I think I post the link. Yes, or maybe yes, or maybe I can maybe you can write down, or maybe you can write down your YouTube channel name over there. Then guys can just
I can post a comment here.
Yes. Post your yes. And
One
then
moment.
post your channel account over there. Then people can follow you and follow your project.
Yeah, and also people can always contact me and find me on my own website.
Yes.
I'll copy
So
this.
and we are looking and we all of us looking for you to print the food.
Nice. Yeah,
Yes.
really
Yeah.
want to.
Yeah. Some people have watched your channel, so love your channel. So
Nice.
for some guy,
Very
yeah.
good.
So yeah, just go to subscribe. Yes. Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
everyone. Nice.
Yeah, some people know that already. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
So thank you. Yeah. Thank you so much. And thanks for joining with us.
Yeah, thanks everyone for watching. It was a
Thank you.
very nice experience doing this live and to show my ideas, and especially communicating with the people from Creality who made these printers. So it's very. I never thought that this would happen when I started upgrading Creality printers, that I would talk to the actual maker of these printers. So that's very awesome. So thanks
Yes.
a lot for this opportunity. It's very cool, and yeah, I've had a lot of fun, and I hope you do too.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you so much. Thanks for
Yep.
watching. Bye.
Yep. Bye.
Bye.